As the disaster of the BBC rolls on, you would have thought, given the severity of how much it just may cost the organisation, given the fact that the most powerful man in the world, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is threatening to sue the organisation for billions, of which I'm not that convinced about, if I'm honest, chums. But apparently we've got until Friday for the head people of the BBC to come forward and basically say, well, this is what we plan to do. Well, the outgoing DG, that is the Director General of the BBC, Tim Davie, who seems inexplicably unable to find a tie to represent himself in these hours of crises. You kind of think, a friend of mine works there and said you wouldn't know he was the Director General. He's so laid back and so agreeable, so woke, it's impossible to have really that much respect for him. Well, apparently he's gone online to apparently rally the troops and say, oh, he's proud of what they've done and what they've achieved. Well, what they've managed to achieve is to almost bring an organisation over 100 years plus down to an absolute pile of rubble. But now, apparently, well, they're calling upon the none other than the current British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time. You know, the BBC, I have to say, what a shambles it really is at the moment going in. I'm waving to you. Are you waving back? Yes, you are. That's good to know. Yeah, well, I'm sat here, you know. It does look a bit odd, doesn't it, when you're sat on your own? Well, I know, but this is the beauty of it, isn't it? We're never alone, are we? But seriously, the BBC, what a shambles, what a mess, right? I mean, I just love all the people who are trying to defend the BBC keep saying, oh, well, it was an error. No, it wasn't an error. But as I've said to you before, the people that are responsible for this have not been given a written warning. They've not been fired. And as so far, I can tell you, they've not even been brought through to be spoken to. That's the level of how seriously they're taking this. And it is an amazingly serious point of problem right now. However, the bigger problem is this. Not only has the BBC got the problem of Donald Trump, but now thousands of people are basically calling in to say they don't want to pay the TV licence anymore. This has really kick-started a lot off. It in fact started way before this, but it's accelerating because people now have got a perfect excuse because the BBC have given them a perfect excuse. They don't trust it as an organisation. And it's all very well putting out ads saying the most trusted news source. If people don't trust you, then they don't trust you. And that's the problem. But here's where it gets really interesting because as many of you know, basically last week, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, did the unthinkable and said that he fully supports the Director General, Tim Davie. And again, like a lot of people, Mandelson, etc., they've all gone. Keir Starmer's judgment is just dreadful. Whatever you think, it's dreadful. Lisa Nandy, another one that broke parliamentary rules. But, you know, she explained it to him. So he's fully satisfied with what she said. She should be fired. End of. She should be fired. She is the head of that particular department. Frighteningly, she's now looking at the BBC Royal Charter. Goodness knows where that'll end up. You know what I'm saying? But here's where it's interesting because the BBC bosses themselves, including the chair, feel it might be more prevalent if in fact Keir Starmer was to get involved helping smooth the operations between Donald Trump, the President of the United States, and the BBC. I know, can you imagine? I mean, how bad does things have to be? But apparently, you see, because they feel that he's got a better relationship with him than they have, this might, of course, either try and open the door of negotiation, perhaps an apology. Well, of course, one might suggest this might have been an idea if you had a Prime Minister, for instance, like Rishi Sunak or Margaret Thatcher or somebody of that level, somebody who understands how to communicate with people. But as we saw recently, Keir Starmer tried to hijack that peace negotiations deal. Donald Trump dealt with him in the best way possible, battered him back and swatted him off like a fly in a room. And Keir Starmer, according to an excellent source, is still furious about that snub on the world stage. Hence the reason he's taken his time to come out and either condemn or indeed support what's gone on. What's interesting is, if the future of the BBC now truly relies on Keir Starmer, well then really, one might suggest things are looking very bleak indeed. And do not forget, though, that Keir Starmer and all of his ministers refuse to go on certain news channels unless they are kind and more open and perceptive to their, well, left-leaning thoughts. So you understand how this works. The BBC are being very soft with Keir Starmer, and so consequently he wants to support them, again, allegedly. But either way, it's now a battle, so it seems, between President Trump, the BBC, and Keir Starmer. Who do you think's going to win? Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.